Hey everybody, it's your girl Chantelli. From March 12th through March 16th, I was able to attend the South by Southwest conference for the first time, and I had a blast. Tune into the different sessions I attended.
I've got three amazing creators and guests with us on this panel, coming from different places on this earth with different stories and different journeys and different results. I wanted to first introduce I'm out of breath, by the way. Our first panelist, Israel. He's a Grammy Award-winning producer who has worked with some of the biggest names in the music industry like Drake and Future. His innovative and original sound has garnered him critical acclaim and numerous accolades. Not only is he a talented producer, but he is also a skilled executive producer and a master of curating the perfect sound for people when they're in the stew. Let's give it up for Israel, everybody. Now introducing Kavi, a rising music producer and sample maker who has made a name for himself on BeatStars, selling his unique sounds to some of the biggest names in the music industry. Kavi's success story is an inspiration to all aspiring music producers and entrepreneurs, from using the collab feature on BeatStars to building a loyal fan base. Kavi has proven that dedication, hard work, creativity can go a long way. His guerrilla marketing approach to production and business has made him one of the most sought after producers in the game, and at just 20 years old, has built a multi-six-figure dollar business online. Welcome to South by Southwest Kavi.
Thank you.
And then, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce our next panelist. Shima is a rising star in the music industry, known for her unique blend of electronic dance and pop music. As a talented artist, producer, DJ, and engineer, she has garnered a significant following on social media platforms such as TikTok and Instagram, where she showcases her musical prowess through visually stunning content, which has helped her land a partnership with Universal Music Japan. Her success on BeatStars, where she sells her beats and vocal samples, has also caught the attention of so many aspiring independent artists and producers looking to establish themselves. We are thrilled to have her here today to share her insights and experience on being a multilingual artist in the digital age. Give it up for Shima, y'all. It's a song that came out last year, at some point?
April 29th, 2022.
That's 2022. And one of the most kind of like memorable things about that song is the beat. Like, people use that beat as an instrumental solo on like Instagram and TikTok and use it as a background music for a lot of different things. But that song won you a Grammy. And it features some of the most amazing artists, Drake, Tems, and Future. Can you tell us a little bit how that song came together, man? How did it come together? And just give us the backstory on it.
Indeed, I can actually. To be real with you guys, like, it just all came together really, like, just perfectly. I was doing a lot of work with Tems on the live tip, more of just like recomposing certain records, just like working with the team to figure out how we could make certain things sound how they need to sound for her live performances. She had a record called Higher, and Muyiwa, her manager, just called me one day. Was like, yo, like, can you pull up? We had no practice. I didn't even know what I was doing. To be honest, I didn't even know what I was doing when we pulled up. We got there, my guy Sonic Major was like, yo, I seen him. Oh, what's up, man? And they told us, okay, we're gonna recompose Higher. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Like, you could have told us that ahead of time, you know what I mean? So I pulled Sonic aside and I was just like, yo, like, this is what we're gonna do. And the original song, I just had to like change the chord progression on it, add some drop sixes, just to make it move a little bit. Because if we're gonna have two instruments on this record, like, we have to make it make sense. We got up in two takes. We just went in, killed it. I just started freestyling certain things. And they loved it, so we kept it. And then, funny enough, I want to say probably like 6 months after, it's a funny story. I'm glad we got the business done afterwards, but I was literally in a point of my life where I was like, of course you guys know the Genius Live released the actual video on YouTube. Probably like a few months later, like, I was in a point where I was like, all right, I'm gonna just listen to positive music, you know, for a while. You know, like the whole Future, Toxic thing. I'm cool. And I was in a group chat with my friends, and they just kept on sending this song, and they're like, yo, this is the best song on the album. I'm like, I'm just skipping it. You know how like on text messages you can click the play button? I'm just skipping it. I'm like, man, I'm cool. Probably about like cause it's like 30 of us in a group chat, probably about like the 12th person who put it in there. I clicked play. It took like half a second for me to know, like, oh, hold on. Still didn't hit yet. Like, all right, kind of left it alone for a little second. And then probably like 2 days later, something clicked and then we got the business done, reached out to who we had to reach out to, closed it out, and now that's what we have. Wait for you. ATL Jacob, FNZ originally found the video on YouTube, and FNZ sent it to ATL Jacob. ATL Jacob threw some drums on it, played it for Future, and it was a wrap from there.
Amazing. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Your songs, I think they dropped like the same week almost.
Same day.
Same day.
Same night.
Same day. So Beautiful by DJ Khaled and SZA and Future, and then Beat the Odds, Lil Tjay. And it was like, I don't know, I remember that day, the whole producer community kind of just went nuts on Instagram. They're like, Kavi's having a day right now. Kavi's having a day right now. Both these songs came out. What was your reaction when both those songs came out? And did you know about them coming out? And how did it all come together?
So, Beautiful was, I don't know if you guys know who TM88 is, but he found me on Instagram through one of my, so I make samples, I make loops, like unfinished melodic ideas for other producers to flip and add drums to. And I run ads on Instagram for the loop kits that I drop. And TM88 got one of my ads just randomly. He hit me up and got his email, whatever. I sent him loops for like a year, didn't hear anything. Emailing him every day, like probably hundreds of loops. And then one day he just called me, I was at the store, and he was like, yo, we got one on Khaled's album. And I was like, I hear stuff like that all the time, so I was like, oh, that's cool, you know. But then Khaled started like really pushing it, like the whole God did, you know. And the track was dropped. And I knew the vocal, it was like said Beautiful over and over. And then I saw Beautiful Future and SZA, and I was like, fuck, crazy, like, can't believe it, whatever. Because this is my first like major song, and it's with like an artist that I really respect and really wanted to work with. So that dropped, and I knew that one was coming on that night. But then TJ posted Beat the Odds or whatever, and he had just been shot like a couple months ago.
He was in the hospital, right?
Yeah. And that one, I had been sitting on that for a while. I had no idea it was gonna drop. Honestly, I wasn't even excited about that because I was so hype about Future that night. But yeah, that beat was just a YouTube beat. So I post, well, I don't directly post, but I collaborate with a bunch of big producers on YouTube, and TJ found the beat on YouTube, rapped on it, and then like that was literally it. I didn't send it to anyone. Kind of similar story. It's just on YouTube, someone found it, used it, and then got put out there, and now that's my biggest song by far. Beat the Odds with TJ.
Amazing, man. That's awesome. Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
For
2 years now. I found her from a BeatStars interview on Instagram, and I was looking for vocalists to work with, and I was like, damn, she's got the craziest vocals. I'm looking for like stuff like this. Hit her up, we just started working. We started putting out like collab loop kits together, and one of them was on a YouTube beat, again, a BeatStars YouTube beat, and some Latin guy that I've never heard of picked it up, and now it's a platinum song, like with, I think it's Omi de Oro, Neo Garcia, and Jay Wheeler, and yeah, that song went crazy. So yeah, just more random stuff that I got from pushing my stuff out online.
Amazing, amazing. And then I want to get into Shima here, who is a triple threat or a quadruple threat. She does everything from singing, songwriting, DJing, producing, engineering, directing videos. You pretty much are just a full spectrum creative. And and it's been amazing to see kind of your journey start from kind of being this social media person showcasing your talent, and then turning that into like a real career in releasing music with Universal Music Japan. And one of the songs that you had released, which is still one of my favorite songs in the last year or so, is Con Man, which is like the ultimate female empowerment like song. And you collaborated with Sumire, who's also a super really big popular artist in Japan. And you guys dropped like a crazy music video to it. Anyway, can you tell me a little bit about how that song came together, and then that collaboration, and then what led up to getting to the Universal Japan folks and like actually having a major release out there?
So yeah, this was during the pandemic. I am living in LA, and I was living in LA at the time, and Sumi is a close friend who is also like a successful actress and singer in Japan, and she just reached out to me one day and was like, let's work on a track. You know, she saw all the content I was putting out, and you know, was like, okay, she's making moves. Let's make a track. I'm really into Dua Lipa right now, so like, can we do like a Dua Lipa style track? So I made a beat and I sent it to her, and she liked it. So I wrote the rest of the song. I did it half in Japanese, half in English. Like most of my stuff is bilingual. And then I flew to Japan. We recorded the song. We recorded most of the vocals like actually at her house. I brought my mic and like interface with me, and then we recorded at her house, finished it up in a studio, and we really just did everything ourselves. And then I'm signed with Universal Music Japan, so we released it through them, and yeah.
And I think another really cool, like, unique story about you and your journey is that you also started out as a software engineer, working within the music production world, in the digital audio workstations and plugin world. And was there, like, did any of that technical type of experience, how are you applying that today to your business that you're running right now, this digital business that you're running right now?
That's an interesting question. Yeah. So before the pandemic and before I became a full-time producer and artist, I was a software engineer, and I worked at Splice, and then I worked at Output as a dev, and we basically made plugins. So I think being like making plugins and knowing how they work from the inside, you know, of course, it made me know how to use them better. And I think the mindset of approaching things from like an engineering perspective, now when I sit down and I make a song, of course it's a creative process, but there's a lot of like reverse engineering involved as well, where you hear a song that you like and you can pick apart all the different elements and then kind of reconstruct it. So I think the way that it's helped the most is like the mindset from which I approach creative things now is from more of like a step-by-step process. Yeah.
Super technical, right? Flood the streets with content, and you know, have a couple magical moments happen, right? And believe in yourself. So like, tell me a little bit about the different types of collaborations that you do that really fuel what your business is all about, and how has that been successful for you?
So the main kind of collaboration that I do is like the samples, the loops. I send that out to other bigger producers who have all their connections, and I don't know if it's the best way to look at it, but the way I think of it is I make kind of like the source material, like the starting point for a song or a finished beat. And instead of being limited to how many people I can reach out to and try to get it to and all that, it's like if I can get my source material to as many people and work with as many people as I can, they will do all that work for me and stuff will come back to me. So that's how the Future song came about. That's how TJ, that's how all of my placements, I haven't been, like, these guys are in sessions and stuff, like, I've never really been in a real set. Everything is just at my house, put my stuff out to the world and then let my work speak for itself, and other people kind of push it to all the people they know and stuff like that.
But there's a million sample makers out there, right? There's people making samples and trying to sell them, trying to sell these packs here and sell packs here. Everyone's trying to sell a pack. Everyone's trying to sell a pack. You're 20 years old, and are you at a point now where it's like you're more focused on selling these packs and getting these sounds to people, or are you more focused on, you know what, I'm gonna let these packs fly in all these studios for free, possibly strategically? Like, where is your focus in that strategy? Is it more about building a sample pack business, selling it, or more focused on strategically working with guys like Israel, like Shima, throwing packs their way, getting them content so you can feed you know, their creative abilities too?
The way I look at it is the placements, the cool songs. Maybe my mind will change if I get a hit like Israel, like Wait For You, but it's more like I treat it as like my bonus. Like, I'm not counting on that because it's too unpredictable. I know that if I'm working on my online business, I can make this amount if I put in this amount of work on the right things. So I'm more, to answer your question, I'm more focused on building the business of that, and then having those big songs be the byproduct of me building my own brand up, because then people are finding my stuff. I don't have to find the people to work with. They come to me, and it's just all, that's what's worked for me.
How long did it take for you to feel like, okay, I can actually put sounds together and sell them? Like, I know that, I mean,
I've been trying to do it since I was like 16.
Right.
I grew up like with BeatStars and YouTube type beats and stuff, and I was friends with a bunch of other teenagers who were doing it, and I was just like, everyone was putting out their kits and running in Instagram ads on it. But once I really got good at making music, that's the key. You could have all the right strategies, but if your music isn't tight, nothing is gonna work. You have to market it super hard to get it to sell, but if it's good, then it's easy to sell. So
Yeah.
once I kind of got that, everything kind of clicked, and then at that point it's just consistency.
Yeah, and then, you know, being a creator nowadays, guys, it's a full-time gig. It's a full-time gig. Like, balancing life, balancing creativity, and the business. There's so many different moving parts. Shima, you stuff, the artist, DJ stuff, and mixing all of these different roles, and then also, you know, balance it with the business stuff too. Like, how do you balance all of that?
So actually my main focus is my artist project, you know, making and releasing my own music. But like, in the process of doing that, I come up with all sorts of byproducts, you know, like if I'm working on a track, I might come up with 5 different hook ideas and settle with one. And so the remaining 4 hook ideas that I've recorded already, they're kind of just like sitting on my hard drive, you know. Or if I'm working on the beat, I might make like 3 different iterations of the beat before I settle on the final one. So it doesn't feel as much like I'm doing a bunch of different things. I feel like I'm doing one thing and then maximizing that into as many different products as possible. So, you know, a lot of like the leftover vocals that I've recorded that didn't end up making it in the final track, I'll bundle it up and, you know, give to Kavi, or sell it as a vocal pack, or, you know, chop it up and turn it into a total different loop or sample or something. So I think it looks like I'm doing way more than I am.
You're definitely maximizing all the content and using pieces of it. That's great, and that's a great way to approach it. You know, nothing should be wasted or thrown away. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Focus you are putting on for social media content. I don't know how much focus you're focusing on that, but would love to hear where's your priority structure right now? How are you balancing all of these different things and making sure that you're not being overwhelmed as a creator, as a business owner, with all these different opportunities? How you pick and choose what to work on? How do you schedule yourself? Like, I'd love to hear like your organizational structure to get to your goals.
Okay, to keep it 100% with you, I feel like I just go at my pace. Like, I don't put the anxiety on myself to be like, all right, I gotta I gotta shoot out 1,000 beats. I don't do that. All I do is I trust the fact that, look, when I sit down every morning, so usually, let me tell you what my morning looks like. I wake up, I try not to touch my phone. You know, as soon as I get up, get in the shower, I eat, probably sit on my laptop, start like a melody idea that's on my head. Or most times I'm just chilling, and if I play you guys like my voice notes, I just have like me going like. Matter of fact, Mike, you guys want to hear one?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let me. Oh my God, this might be embarrassing. Let me see. Which one should I do? What's this one? Oh, that's one. Which one is it? Or it would be like. It's just because sometimes I realize I'll be walking, something will be in my head, and I just want to be like, okay, I need to put it down. So what I would do then is during the day, if I'm not doing oh, sorry. And during the day, if I'm not doing anything, I'd literally just put that audio file into Ableton and then like remake what I did with my mouth with instruments. And then I just do that occasionally, randomly, and then if I'm in random sessions, most times I just work on sessions and how I feel. I don't put the pressure on myself, honestly. And it's been working out, you know?
I love the using your vocal. I'm pretty sure I saw some kind of software recently that you could do that and turn that into a MIDI immediately into the DAW.
I think
you played around?
I think it's Vocalio. I haven't tried it yet.
That you might want to get that probably.
I started like blocking my schedule, so like I'll have a day. The only thing I'm doing is making melodies. I'm not worried about anything else. I'm fully like artist, producer mode, whatever. And then the next day, all I'm doing is recording YouTube videos, YouTube content, and all that. And I can focus on making that as good as I can, send that to my editor. The next day I'm working on just the business stuff, all that. So doing stuff that way has really helped me like kind of separate it. And I've seen like people who do like daily content on TikTok and Reels and stuff, they don't like sit there and make the content every day fresh and then post it. They're like, they'll sit down for a day, make 10 videos and do that 3 times a month. So it only takes 3 days a month to make the whole content for the whole month. So just kind of blocking stuff like that really helps me.
So having like themed days,
Yes.
themed days around one real like big body of work, whatever that is.
Yep.
whether it's-
And then I also plan it out on my calendar, like what needs to get done each week, how many days I need to make music, how many days I need to do this, and so I do it that way.
I mean, you're the epitome of just like consistency will work. Consistency will just eventually will block out all of the noise that's out there, and whether you like it or not, Kavi's gonna be on your feed, on your YouTube feed, on your BeatStars feed, whatever or not, your Instagram feed. Music video creation, like, you know, how expensive does that get for you? What does that investment turn into for you? And how did you get into that?
I guess when I release music, I kind of started to look at it as you're not just releasing a piece of audio, you're releasing a full package product, you know, with cover art and music video and a theme and even things like, you know, when I sit down and I start working on a track, I'm already thinking about like, what's the color palette of this track, you know? What's the accompanying visual gonna be like? Because it's really more than a song that you release is more than a piece of audio. It's like it's really a full product. So, I guess, you know, once you start approaching it from that angle, the moment you are working on the music, you start getting ideas for music videos or art, different types of art and things like that. And so, for example, for the Con Man one, I mean, the lyrics are telling a very specific story. So I started thinking of like a music video concept that would go with that story. And the budget for that video was about the equivalent of $2,500 US.
What?
Nothing. That gets you like a videographer, basically.
Barely.
So we did all kinds of crazy things to hack that video, basically, you know, things like, oh man, I went to like a store and bought all the clothes, like all the wardrobe, and then like kept the tags on, and then returned it the next day after the video shoot. We had another friend who like has a clothing brand. She has her own clothing brand, so we did like a partnership. Like, hey, we'll promote your clothes in the video if you like let us borrow it. Same with a friend who had like his own bar. So we were like, can we film it in your bar and like we'll promote your bar and we can like film at your place for free. And it was like things like that, you know, all kinds of just friends helping each other out. And same with the videographer, he ended up working at a very discounted rate because, you know, he was getting to put his name on like a big artist Sumi rate, you know, and for him that was like a great thing to have on his resume. And I was like, I can't pay you a lot, I don't really have a budget. And he's like, that's fine, I want to do this, and yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how you're able to, you know, utilize as many resources as you can to make it happen. And you probably are like still thinking about ways you could have made the video even better.
You don't need a lot of money to make a good video.
There's a lot of artists and producers that get kind of stuck, you know, with like, oh, well, I need this, and I need this person on my team, and I need this to happen, or I need all of these things before I can actually get in the lab and cook.
Right? That when you release records, it's not just an audio file. I was just talking to Kavi, was it yesterday or today, where if you think about it, every record you release is a new house you just bought or built. It's real estate, it's intellectual property, you know what I mean? So it's like the same way how if you want to buy a house, you're gonna make sure you're in the right market, the right time. You're gonna make sure you have the right contractor if you want to build a house. The same way, like when you release a song, figure out what market you want it in, you figure out how to get to those people. When you want to make the music, shoot the music video, figure out, okay, what's your vision for it? Same way if you buy a house. And if you think about it that way, that just helps you with the business too. You start understanding publishing, you start understanding the power of publishing, master, you know, and like how building those, even if it's a song, even if you feel like you just got started making music, every song has value. Like I've seen people who probably only make 3 songs in their life, make the 4th song, and the 4th song just got placed for a sync. There's like 60 bands. You see what I'm saying? So just wanted to add that.
I love that, and I want to get into that because that's kind of like a lot of the reasons, you know, why we're sitting here today is that you have taken the steps to start collecting on those intellectual pieces of property, right? Those things that you own. But there are sometimes, I think a lot of producers get a little bit kind of like, once you start talking about music publishing, they get glossy-eyed. They don't understand it. They don't want to start learning how, you know, that there's a whole new world of royalties that are sitting there for them, and they got to go out and get it. They got to figure out how to go out and get it, because a lot of times I'm hearing stories with you guys that, oh, the label didn't credit me here. You know, or this didn't happen here. And the producer journey to go collect the royalties, and sometimes it can be challenging compared to like the recording artist when you're distributing yourself on the master side, right?
I don't care who you think you are, what company it is. So if you're aggressive enough to be like, but aggressive but fair, aggressive but likable. You don't have to be agreeable, but be a good person. But go for it. Like, okay, look, this is what we're gonna do. I need this, and this. That's the first option, or this, and this will happen, and that does not benefit anybody. And I promise you, if you stay stiff, you'll get exactly what you wanted. I promise.
Kavi, do you feel like there could be some improvement with how like the music industry is crediting and making sure that producers are getting their fair share, or you feel like the system is kind of working for you right now too?
I think the system is working for me right now, but only because I have Greg, Mike, I have a whole team around me that's helping me and navigating me through this stuff. But if I was by myself, I mean, there's so many layers to it. Like Israel understands it a lot more than I do, but I always see the good in people, and I'm very trusting, so I can get fucked over a lot of times. But like he said, nobody's friends whenever it comes down to the business. So my best advice would just be have some people in your corner who are well-intentioned, who can guide you through that, because otherwise you get ran over. It's brutal.
Link, BeatStars Publishing.
Yep.
Shima, I want to talk about how to stay motivated and overcoming like creative blocks. I'm a creator. I know like we were just talking in the green room about these blocks sometimes and knowing when to like throw things away and when to come back to them or when to revisit, when to do things. I'd love to hear like how do you stay motivated to push through some of those creative blocks and not just like completely give up, completely give up the next day or the week after. Like how do you go get through those moments to overcome them?
I think nowadays, a lot of people are like bedroom producers, so they're kind of like sitting alone in their room all day, like not talking to a single soul, and it's kind of easy to like get sucked into that vacuum and not hit a wall, and not know how to move forward. I think for me, what's really helped is in those moments, just like reach out to other people. I'll just send like a half-baked idea to my friends and be like, you got any ideas for this? They might give me feedback or even add something to it and send it back. So I think having like a community of people who you can like bounce ideas off of and build things with is especially important for like bedroom producer type people, like me, because I'm just really just at home by myself all day. And if you don't have that yet, just something as simple as like just taking a step away from your own stuff and like listening to someone else's album or listening to something totally different, or just consume as much music as you can from as many different sources as you can. And for me, like that always gives me ideas. And like channels on Discord where people just send whips back and forth and like give each other feedback, and sometimes you have like really veteran producers in those channels like just giving you really, really solid feedback, and then suddenly you know what to do next.
Discord, don't sleep on Discord, it's crazy. I've got my Discord server, we've got like 5,000 people in it, and it's great. I just started it just because people were asking me to do it, but now I'm seeing like people connect and get placements, like people who don't even know who I am join it just to be in the community, and it's crazy. Everyone's helping each other out. I think definitely like finding a community is super helpful, especially when you're not in LA, you can't be in the room with these people, and yeah, it just helps to have like-minded people around you,
For sure, Discord is so powerful, super powerful. The only thing I don't like about all these platforms though, is that they don't share the user information. So like you drove 5,000 people into this Discord channel, you don't have access to their emails, their information, to be able to like include them into an even closer private community, whether that's like an SMS group or other things. But yes, there, all these, like again, like we've seen time and time again, all of these social platforms will limit, your ability to reach your fans and your customers, after time. It's always in the beginning, it's like open for all. You could reach everyone, you could talk to everyone, and then, you gotta start paying ad money to reach your folks. And running an independent business, Kavi, like, how do you combat that? Like, how are you controlling the communication between you and your fans and your supporters and your customers without the need of social platforms?
That's a tough question. I feel like I'm not really trying to battle against the social platforms, and I don't know if I'm trying to directly communicate exactly like with my customers, which maybe I should be, but with everything I put out, I'm mentally just thinking like, how can I put more value out than I'm asking for in return? So when I put out a video, I could do the whole like, oh, this is how you make $100,000 selling beats, buy my course for the real information, whatever, but I'm just giving out everything I know on all my videos, and in return, I've built like a big community of people who are like, just really respect everything that I've got going on, just because I'm being honest and giving more value than I'm asking for in return, And it comes back, so.
Yeah, they're tapped in. They're on with you right now. But there will come a time where it would be amazing to have 10,000 phone numbers or 10,000 email addresses when you go town to town, and when you start doing gigs, or when you start doing anything to where you can like control it between communication or email addresses.
I have an email list with like 10,000.
Right. We only have 8 minutes left.
One of my questions is basically like, when you create music videos, how do you conceptualize the ideas for them? And when you make music also, like, where's your first step in the creative process? Like how do you start out with that?
I don't really have like a go-to first step, but oftentimes for me it starts with chords. Once I find a chord progression that I really like, that for me is like, okay, now we have something to like build on. I know for a lot of people it's like the drums first or melody first or whatever, but for me it's all about the harmony, and that kind of determines the mood. And you know, and then I guess, I don't know, it kind of goes hand in hand. Like I'll just get like little visual ideas of like what would look good with this music, I guess. And then you can start big, you know, you can start throwing out different ideas, and then once you have all the different ideas that you want, then you can start to get a little realistic about, okay, well, this is how much money I actually have. This is the, you know, the people or the equipment or the locations that I have available to me, and then kind of like narrow it down from there.
That's better.
Awesome, thank you.
Could I add to what she just said real quick before my brain goes blank? She said she starts with melody. That's so important. An old mentor of mine told me, you know you have a record if you can take the drums out and it still sounds good. And you can just keep listening to it. Because then the drums are just extra. Because think about it, if you're at a live performance, whether it's a rapper or a singer, what's the main instrument you need? It's not just gonna be only drums and a singer. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? But you could have a rapper and a keyboardist, or a rapper and a guitarist, or a singer and a keyboardist, a singer and a guitarist, but kind of build the world around that. That's why if you go back into like music back in the days, it used to be like the piano, the vocalist, and everything else was built around that. So I feel like if you just have that in mind, everything else will kind of fall through.
Thank you. I watched your video, KX, and I've heard some of the things that you said, so.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You got something. The internal battle as far as life in general?
I mean, yeah,
I hate to be very straightforward, but bro, you just have to do it. Like, I know that sounds very bland, but like, speaking on me, like, you just don't quit. Like, I think the difference between the people, and I don't know everything. I'm still just working my way to where we need to get to, but just gotta know it. Like me, for instance, homeless in my car, making Gmails to go shower at LA Fitness in the morning. You know what I mean? Sneaking to the neighborhood studio just to be there because I had nowhere else to go. You know what I mean? Like, just doing that for like, how long is it? It's somewhere between 8 months to a year. Like, if anybody in here from Dallas, they probably, you know what I mean? Like, people also, you just gotta do it, man. Like, and then do it, but be around a good community of people. Like, community is so important. Like, we're human beings. Like, we're meant to be in community. That's our core, you know what I mean? So just do what you like to do. Find the right community, love a community. I promise you. You tap into that, you look back a year, you're like, oh yeah, I see a huge difference. Yeah.
I think everyone I know who didn't quit, who I started working with, is doing something now. It may not be the same level of success as other people, but everyone who didn't stop for a year, take a break, consistency. It's boring advice, but it's boring because, you know, it's true, it works.
No, but also, like, sometimes you may like go hard for me in writing music, performing music for 10 years, and then you're like, wait, hold on, but this is leading me into a different passion. That was my path. I was rapping in the 90s, 2000s, and then it got to the point where it's like, I kind of like this technology thing a little bit better. I kind of like this, where I kind of love all these different pieces, but I'm passionate about this now. And sometimes all that stuff just leads into something else. just leads into something else that you're meant to do. You just got to be open to saying, all right, God, to take me where I'm meant to be.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Track or anything commercially driven, and for songs in general. And we're toying with an idea of purchasing the open rights to some iconic tracks and giving them to producers around the world to make what they may of them.
Budweiser? Awesome.
Yes, so my question is, we think it's a good idea, but as producers, is that something that would be seen to be of value to y'all?
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
Immediately, yes.
For sure.
Definitely, okay, that's good to know.
Well, let us know if you need a platform to kick it off. We can help you guys bust that out.
I will get your information,
Okay,
we'll reach
cool,
out to you.
cool.
Because we know the democratization of samples is really difficult, right? And the power of samples is when somebody hears the beat and they feel like they know the song already, it makes a difference. It gives you more exposure and access. So I'll connect with y'all after.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
With the artists, like for example, the Future is signed to Epic, right? So if you make the beat for him, or you're working with, ATL Jacob or whoever it is, where does that payment come from? Are you doing a singular rate for the beat, and then of course you do the contracting for publishing on the back end? What does that process look like? And is it the label that pays you, or is it the artist specifically? It comes out of their pocket.
So it depends on how the business went, right? So let's say, let me give you an example. Say you make this record with somebody, it came out like before you knew about it, they didn't give you no paperwork. You just also have to understand, like, okay, what did you do on the record? You produced it by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
ideally, let's say you produced it by yourself. Just knowing your rights, naturally you own 50% publishing, and depending on whether they're signed to a label or not, and the label owns their master, you own whatever that percentage, those points that they gave the artist, you own 50% of that, naturally. So if that's the case, yeah, I love it when you release the record first, please. Because what that does is it builds leverage now. You have a record now you're not worried about the record not coming out. Yeah, let them release it. Because then after that, what you do is you reach out to them. Hey. Hello?
We're gonna wrap up.
All right, so I'm about to wrap this up real quick.
I can try to find you after too.
All right, cool. I can knock it out in like 30 seconds. So you reach out to your lawyer, you tell them, yo, we need to reach out. Depending on how aggressive you want to do, you can either try to talk to them if they ignore you. I'm a big advocate of copyright claims. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to tell you, you're not gonna play me. So what happens is, you reach out to Spotify. Spotify tells them, yo, you have 48 hours, and we have this copyright claim. You can't, at that point, they can't get no syncs. They can't get anything because there's a copyright claim that's stopping anybody from making money. And then from that point, you just talk to them, you be fair, don't be rough, be a good person, have a fair conversation. And at that point, when they see the money's on the line, if the song is down and nobody's making money. So then, you finish it that way, you guys just talk to business.
Thank you, everybody. Please give these guys a round of applause. Appreciate y'all.
I want to thank you for tuning in. Be sure to click like on this video, subscribe to my channel, and just share. I love you.
Cash out. Cash out. Baby, it's right. Me, you. Our spring, we ride out. Me and you. Summers, we fly out. Baby, me, you. Baby, it's ride or fly. When it's me and you. Ride or fly. Me, you. Fall or spring, we ride out. Me and you.
Chantilly.